What's up, everybody? Marvel the Cross 316 back on another comic book flashback. And today, folks, we are looking at The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 114. This issue came out in November of 1972, and we are continuing the story here. Spider-Man has been searching for Aunt May for quite a few issues here, and we're finally going to get some information as to where she has been all this time, as well as we're going to be seeing the second appearance of Hammerhead. He made his first appearance in issue number 113. And so we're going to just pick up where we left off. We had the first appearance of Hammerhead popping up in last issue, and Spider-Man was fighting Dr. Octopus, and he was able to defeat Dr. Octopus thanks to this harness that he put on himself. This harness was invented by Dr. Octavius himself. And so now we see Spider-Man is caught in the crossfire of Hammerhead's men as he is going to be confronting Hammerhead for the first time here in battle. So before we get started, we got to give credit where credit is due. We have the artwork by none other than John Romita Sr. Jerry Conway is the one who wrote this issue, and we have Roy Thomas on the editing here. Tom Morello as well, Tom Mortorello, not confusing that with the guitarist, Tom Mortorello, and Jay Starlin also assisting John Romita Sr. with the artwork, and then of course Artie Simek on the lettering page. Let's go ahead and continue here. We see Spider-Man, even though is dealing with fatigueness. We learned in issue number 113 that Spider-Man has an ulcer, and that's because of his lack of sleep. He has not been sleeping for hours on ends. I mean, he has been up for days searching nonstop for Aunt May, and we see here that with every ounce of strength that he has left within himself, he is going to make quick work out of Hammerhead's men here. As he says, "I've had it. Just when Dr. Octopus goes down for the count, you guys have to show up and play Godfather. Well, I don't want to seem antisocial, but fellas, frankly, this is enough." And Spider-Man is just trying his best to get out of harm's way. He has no idea what kind of power Hammerhead has, but he sure soon is going to find out here. So both of Hammerhead's men here are going to be looking for him. That's Benny here. Benny, as well as I can't remember the other one. But anyway, these guys are like mafia kind of type people, and we see that Spider-Man is going to take out both of these guys. And Hammerhead is pretty, he's pretty shocked about this because these are two of Hammerhead's best men. As he notices here, he says, "You just took out two of my best men, boys who have been with me for 3 years. It was just a matter of business before, but friend, you just made it personal. You got any guts? Now's your chance to show them." So this is where Spider-Man is going to find out the real power of Hammerhead. He strikes Hammerhead on the hand, and he notices that he just about broke his hand because it's like hitting a brick wall. Hammerhead, hence the name, gets his name because of the steel-like presence of his head. His head is like a hammer, and it's hard as one too. Well, we notice here that Dr. Octavius is starting to regain consciousness here, and he notices that Spider-Man, one of his deadliest foes, as well as Hammerhead, who is this rival gang member that's rivaling with Dr. Octavius, are fighting. And Dr. Octopus is then going to strike Hammerhead, causing Hammerhead's gun to misfire here, and it grazes across Spider-Man's head, knocking Spider-Man out for the count. And Dr. Octopus did this on purpose, precisely for his plan, and he wants every setback to go against Hammerhead so that he can gain a victory. And so Hammerhead is super furious at Dr. Octopus. He's another, pretty much the main adversary of Hammerhead at this time, because both Hammerhead and Dr. Octopus, if you didn't watch the last video, which is covering issue 113, There's two rival gangs going on at this point. One is Dr. Octopus and his gang, and Hammerhead and his gang, and they're fighting to become the gang leader of Manhattan because we learned in this issue that Kingpin is no longer around to claim his authority. And so Dr. Octopus and Hammerhead are trying to take that title um, from Kingpin, pretty much, that's been left open. So we see Dr. Octopus is going to be fighting some of Hammerhead's men here, and we see Dr. Octopus is going to get away. Well, Hammerhead looks at the body of Spider-Man, and he's like, it's quite obvious, Benny. Octopus wanted this creep alive, wanted to use him against us. Well, boys, two could play at that game, and only one of us is going to win. So they take Spider-Man hostage. Spider-Man is left unconscious, and he's dreaming about Hammerhead and Dr. Octopus. Why in the world has he been focusing on these two menaces when he could be looking for Aunt May and finding her? We have no idea if she's in trouble, but we know for certain that the reason why she left is because of Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy pretty much told Aunt May that you're babying Peter Parker too much, and that hurt Aunt May's feelings, and so that's the reason why Aunt May has been gone for so long. She felt hurt, and she wanted to get out of harm's way and just get out of the life of Peter Parker. Well, we see Spider-Man is going to regain consciousness here. He's now in the headquarters of Hammerhead, and Hammerhead tells his really good-looking chick here to get out of harm's way because I got to make quick work out of Spider-Man. And she's like, oh, honey, he's really sweet. Promise you won't hurt him too much. And he says, shut up, Myrna. Cripes. Sometimes you really give me pain. And then Spider-Man's like, just one big happy family, huh? Terrific. And then he's like, you too, Webhead. I want your sarcasm. I'll ask for it. Now get up. I want to look you in the eye when I'm speaking. And so Hammerhead is going to threaten Spider-Man. He's like, I'm going to promise to hurt you real bad unless you join with me in my game and we take down Dr. Octopus together. And Spider-Man doesn't believe him, and he's like, why should I believe you when you're the one that uses a gun? And then Hammerhead says, I'll make a demonstration right now. Hey, hit me over the head with that gun, Porky. Porky hits him over the head, and there is no scratches at all. And Spider-Man now realizes that Hammerhead has a pretty indestructible head, hence the name. We also, in this issue, thanks to Jerry Conway, we get a little origin story of Hammerhead. We see that the real Hammerhead was a civilian, and he was lying in the alleyway, beaten and bruised, beaten to a pulp, left for dead. And this man came to his rescue here. And this man, he was a surgeon. His name was Jonas Harrow. And he pretty much brought him back to his lab here, to his medical facility. And the brain of Jonas Harrow sought to repair, recognizing one last desperate chance to redeem his lost reputation, as well as to save a quickly fading life. For 3 days, Jonas Harrow labored, replacing shattering bone with unbendable steel alloy. And for 3 days, the nameless patient dreamed, his mind filled with images from movie poster he had glimpsed in the last conscious moment. And that is how we see Hammerhead was born. And that's just a little glimpse of Hammerhead's origin story. We don't know exactly what happened after that. But now we go back to reality here, and Spider-Man is trying to buy some time here. Meanwhile, we see Dr. Octopus is going to make it back to the Hudson Shore, where he's going to this little cottage house here in Westchester. And Dr. Octopus is going to be hiding out here. Unbeknownst to him, though, Hammerhead's men has been spying him out, and they're going to alert Hammerhead about the whereabouts of Dr. Octopus and his hideout here. And on the phone call, we see Hammerhead's going to pick up the phone, and in the phone call, it says that Dr. Octopus is in Westchester, got himself a real little palace, just him and some old broad. This grabs the attention of Spider-Man. He's like, wait a minute, that old broad, could it really be? Could it be Aunt May? She knows Dr. Octavius, and she helped move Dr. Octopus into her house way back in issue number 54. And so she's like, could Dr. Octopus have kidnapped her? And does Dr. Octopus know Spider-Man's true identity? I gotta find this out. And so we see that Spider-Man has no choice but to agree to join up with Hammerhead here. He places a spider tracer on Hammerhead to keep track of Hammerhead. Hammerhead's like, nobody touches me, you hear? Nobody. And Hammerhead says, look, I'm going to go after Dr. Octavius. You guys look after him. I'll be back in just a little while. And we see here that Spider-Man has to get out of this place so that he can get to the location where Aunt May's at, because he thinks that old broad really is Aunt May. We see that Hammerhead's going to get into his car, drive off. Spider-Man's still feeling really weak at this point because of the ulcer, but we're going to now check in on Gwen Stacy, as we see Professor Warren is going to approach Gwen Stacy, and Professor Warren asks, hey, why has Peter been out of class? And is it because of the rumor that his aunt has been missing? And she tells Professor Warren, yes, that is true. And Professor Warren says, well, don't take it too personal. Here comes Flash Thompson. He drives up. He tries to cheer up Gwen, and he jokes about the fact that Peter Parker has an ulcer, and Gwen's like, he's more of a man than you will ever be, and I told you to stop messing with Peter Parker. I guess the army never really taught you to mature, did it? Now back to Spider-Man, we see that these men realize that Spider-Man is not wearing his usual mask. They could see his baby blues, and so this gives Spider-Man a chance to use his webbing on both of these guys, and they're going to keep firing their guns at Spider-Man. Spider-Man takes these guys out, pulls this lever so that he can bust through the screen here, and now he's going to go throughout the window, and now he's going to use that spider tracer that he planted on Hammerhead to follow them as they're driving on this gangster car. Spider-Man lands on top of the hood here. He then jumps off of the car. He's now at the location where Dr. Octopus is hiding out. Spider-Man takes out two of Hammerhead's men. He's going to sneak into Dr. Octavius' house. And while he is climbing the walls, he is then met by an attack here. He's hit over the head with a vase. And when he comes to, or he's still knocked out, we come to find out that the person that knocked him over the head with a vase was none other than Aunt May herself. Aunt May has been hiding out here with Dr. Octavius. We don't exactly know why, but we will find out coming up next in issue number 115. The title of the next issue is Betrayed. So, has Aunt May betrayed her own nephew by joining forces with Dr. Octavius? We will find out coming up next in issue number 115. I hope to see you there. Go ahead now and drop a like on this video. Comment down below what you thought about this issue and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next